John Franklin here, Combat Press, World Series of Fighting 25. I'm here with World Series of Fighting Lightweight Jason. Hi, Jason. So I want to talk to you about a few things pertaining to the fight itself, and then sort of move into the fight. So the area that you're from, you're sort of around 2 hours away from the University of Missouri. You're kind of a little further away from Ferguson. I just want to get the area, a perspective on the area from you. I mean, you grew up there, now you kind of know, you're somewhat close. What do you think? Is there something underneath all this, or?
I don't think it's really particular to our area. I just think that's kind of where it's been blowing up lately. African Americans will tell you pretty much wherever they live, it's worse in the South. That there's like just this kind of undercurrent of that kind of stuff. So to see it blow up close to home is a little. I don't want to say it's like disconcerting, but it just makes me, for the people at Columbia, it kind of makes me like a little proud to be from around there, to see them stand up like that. I really think that the way they did it, is the way it should be done, So, nonviolent, everybody united, that kind of thing. So.
All right, I want to get to sort of the things that led up to where you are now. Obviously a very high-profile suspension, and then also the situation with the UFC. Just in your defense, and obviously, you're fine. You don't need me to come to your defense. But the situation, from my perspective, was it seemed like the punishment really didn't fit the crime. The whole thing with the UFC, I understand they were trying to make an example of it, but what were your thoughts? Just sort of take me into the cage. When you kind of reacted the way that you did, and then following it,
Yeah, man. I honestly don't even remember I remember the first thing I really remember is like the commissioner coming to talk to me, and we were in a locker room, we were in a hallway or something, and he's telling me what happened, and I'm looking around at my corner and my manager like, I think this guy's talking to the wrong person, and then I asked my manager, Mike, I asked him what happened, and he's like, well, after they stopped the fight, you pushed the referee, so that's really the first, the first recollection I have of it. So, I don't know, it wasn't really, obviously, embarrassed, but it wasn't like something that I consciously did, so.
And it wasn't something, again, and I hate to harp on this, but I mean, when I sort of did the research for it, it bothered me so much. And it wasn't like what you did was so egregious that it would stick with you. Do you know what I'm saying? It was sort of like a throwaway thing, and it was, and for everybody to get so upset about it kind of bothered me. But all the things that are going on with PEDs and all that sort of stuff, to get that, I mean, listen, and this is not to make you feel any worse about it, but the guy you were fighting, who, let's be honest, you held your own with, is now the 155-pound champion of the world. So, losing a fight on what I believe was a quick stoppage, what I'm sure you did too, the guy's in there for that reason. For the fact that guys that are fighting and their testosterone's running, things are going to get a little crazy. Have you talked to that referee since? Or do you have any interest in that?
No, there's, obviously it wasn't his decision to suspend me, so there's nothing I could, I did, after I got dressed and showered and everything, I came in and talked to him man to man, so he was like very forgiving, he just came out of the cage. I'm sure he pretty much forgot about it, after it happened, so, yeah.
Now, more on, in talking about the fight itself, is there anything that you can look back on the fight, and like I said, Dos Anjos is the 155-pound champion of the world right now. Is there anything that you can take from that fight and go, well, I was kind of there with him? You opened him up. Do you know what I'm saying?
It was a tough fight, man. It was the altitude was something to deal with. It was, I was having fun, but it is what it is, man.
But does it give? Well, I guess what I'm asking is, does it give you any extra level of confidence? Or are you just the same as you were? Like I was right there with him, or
I knew he was good, and I know I'm good, but yeah, to see him go on and after that he fought Ben Henderson, knocked him out, and then he fought Pettis. So yeah, man, it just kind of lets me know that I'm like
you're right there in the world, yeah.
Right there.
So I want to talk a little bit about your relationship with your skill set. And the thing that I think is unique about mixed martial arts is that on some level, if you break a fighter down, he's a boxer, a wrestler, a jiu-jitsu player. Like, he is all these things, and he has a unique relationship with all of it.
Yeah.
for you, you wrestled in college, but from what I understand, you have a relationship with the jiu-jitsu where that's where you see your life going. I mean, that's what you're passionate about. Do you see jiu-jitsu as sort of an evolution from wrestling? Like, okay, I'm still kind of wrestling, but yet it has an end, has a destination, or what's your relationship with your different skill sets?
Yeah, I really like jiu-jitsu, man. Like, that's what I do. Like, I go and get in my gi and just roll around. You know, I teach a lot of classes at the gym, and that's what I do when I'm just like relaxing. You know, so yeah, I really like jiu-jitsu, and I feel like it kind of comes natural to me. I just, you know, I kind of took to it really well. You know, but obviously you have to be well-rounded. But yeah, I'd say, you know, I use the wrestling to. I still use wrestling. Obviously, I wouldn't be here without wrestling. So.
Right.
But yeah, I use it to transition to that submission game a lot. You know, it's fun to be able to, you know, in wrestling, you have a few ways to end a match. You can pin the guy, or you can tech fall the guy, whatever. But in jiu-jitsu, pretty much every position, you're dangerous. You know, so that's something I like. A few more options.
And wrestling was sort of your ticket into jiu-jitsu, right? You were giving guys some wrestling classes in exchange for jiu-jitsu and that sort of stuff.
Costa Rica, I did a semester in Costa Rica, and the teacher, you know, we just walked into the class, me and a friend of mine, and he saw that we were wrestlers, and he asked us if we could exchange. I was like, yeah, of course, man. So
cool.
That's kind of how we got into it.
Now, again, just to touch back on your wrestling career, you wrestled in Nebraska. Now, I know Rulon Gardner wrestled Nebraska and Jordan Burroughs. Do you have any sort of relation? Because you missed him, right? Rulon was before you. Jordan was obviously after you. He's young.
Jordan was like, I think maybe I graduated, and then he came in a year later. I know him. I know Jordan better than I know Rulon.
Okay.
I don't know Rulon at all, honestly.
But you guys aren't like you're not connected still to the Nebraska wrestling program, really?
Well, I haven't been up there in a long time, man.
Yeah.
I always talk about going up there and wrestling with those guys, but I haven't been up there in a while, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and Jordan, we talk every now and then on Twitter. You know, we're not like super close or anything, but yeah.
Jordan's a good dude. Yeah, he's hopefully. I've been interested because Jordan's one of those guys that always sort of has one eye on MMA, and I sort of wonder if after the Olympics is done, if you don't think.
I don't think so. I really would like to see him stay with wrestling, man. Because wrestling needs a guy like him, star. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
So American wrestling does. You know.
All right, I want to talk about fight preparation for you because initially you were supposed to fight Karos Fodor. That went away, and then Estevan Payan came on. So how far in your preparation did you get for Karos before the fight was changed? And did
not too far. I mean, I think we probably had 8 weeks or so, and then the opponent changed. It actually changed. I can't even remember the guy who had changed to the second time, but Estevan was the third opponent.
Oh, Estevan's third.
Yeah. So you know, I was just watching some tape on Karos. I wasn't really, you know. We were just putting a little bit together, and then we got to change. It's the name of the game, though.
Yeah.
You know? I'm rolling with the punches, you know.
So, in that now, so, and I heard that you know, in the year off, you sort of dedicated yourself to the gym. So you've been busy. It's not like you were just sitting on the couch wondering when somebody's going to call. You have your gym. For anybody out there, it's ATTHD. It's in Kansas City, right?
It's next to Kansas, yeah.
Okay.
Which is a suburb of Kansas City.
So it's not like you've been busy, but so as far as fight preparation goes, and I heard you say also you felt like you were on a timeout in that year, and now you're getting. I mean, as you get close to fight week? Well, let's talk about fight preparation first. We'll get to that. Are you the kind of guy that it's like, you know, you have a set schedule for your fight camp, and then when I'm here I'm doing this, when I'm here I'm doing that, or is it you kind of feel yourself out? This needs work, that needs work.
Yeah, I've been trying to listen to my body a little bit more in the last few years. So. You know, the schedule changes. You know, we have a schedule at the gym that we kind of stick to. You know, but obviously, you know, if I have a chance to work something that I feel like needs a little bit of work, I'll go in and do that. You know, but I'm trying not to be super rigid. I try to work around. You know, like you said, what I feel I need to work around. You know?
Right. And as far as the responsibilities at the gym, do you sort of work those in? Like.
Yeah, I mean, well, luckily I got a partner in the gym, LC Davis, and like he's there running it now. So it's kind of. The past year, he's been fighting a lot, so you know I've been running it, and now you know I'll be fighting. So that's kind of why we opened up with two guys that are still active.
Right.
One can run the gym, one can fight, and vice versa. So.
All right, so we're a couple days out on this taping. So how do you sort of ramp up emotionally? Because at this point, I mean, most fighters will say the work is done. You know, the hay's in the barn, however you want to put it. But as you're ramping up. You know, is it, you know, and I'm talking mostly in, you know, your body, your mind, and then also your mood. Mm-hmm. How do you get into, what's your timetable fight week to towards being ready to just go in and, basically.
Dude, I just try to relax, man. Have fun. Just, obviously you got to cut the weight, and that's like less than fun, So, but I'm trying to relax, man. I'm trying to just kick it, get some rest, And as far as like ramping up, I only need a certain bit. Like, if there's a scale between 1 and 10, I probably need to be at about a 6 or 7, I think. So
Okay.
on fight day, on fight night, So, I'm mostly just trying to relax, man.
And this would be your second fight at 55. Is it a weight you're more comfortable at? Is there something that told you? Because I know guys your height typically are 155 pounders.
Yeah.
Is it something like that where these guys have more range or reach than I do? Or what was the ultimate decision?
Yeah, man, the 70 pounders, the welterweights are getting big nowadays, man. They're tall, long guys. I was always the short guy pretty much. So at this weight, I'm still short sometimes, but it's more comparable.
Yeah.
I usually have reach advantage, so it's just my frame, And the real issue with that is I've started cleaning up my diet in the last few years, just year round, and so I'm walking around lighter anyway, So
the weight cut's easier, it affects the mood. Yeah, makes sense.
It's all easier.
All right, so when you look at the fight with Estevan, is it? I mean, do you just feel like wherever the fight goes? I mean, you're not going to say, "I don't want Estevan to take me down," but what are you looking to do? And moreover than that, does certain skill sets make you feel like you want to move towards that? Like, if you love jiu-jitsu, do you start looking for finishes that way, or or is it just take it as it comes?
He is he's a good, he's got a pretty good left hook. He likes to get in there and brawl, and that's not really my style. So I want to just impose. I mean, it sounds cliche, but I want to control the stand up, and obviously I think I can take him down whenever I need to, and I like to grab him from top, man. I'm not trying to just lay on my back in an MMA fight, I mean, I feel pretty comfortable on my back, but that's just not where you want to be in an MMA fight, in my opinion. So, either I'm controlling the stand-up, or say he starts getting the best of me, and then I'm taking him down, and I'm going to beat him up there.
All right. So, and you feel like, because I know wrestlers. I mean, that's wrestling is sort of like defense in boxing. If you're good at it, you sort of can control the way things go. So is that kind of the thing that you feel like, I got this in my pocket if I need it?
Yeah, definitely.
If I want to stand and I can outstrike him, great. But I can, I know I always got the wrestling to go to.
Definitely. It's always nice to have that card in your back pocket, and just be able to get a takedown when you need it, So.
And touch a little bit on, because this is something I've wondered about for a couple of years, because I've heard different people talk about it. What do you think the difference is between wrestling, collegiate wrestling, and MMA wrestling? Because you can be good at one and not good at the other.
Yeah, definitely. Like, a guy like, take Ben Askren, for instance, who's obviously a fantastic grappler once he gets his hands on you and gets you to the mat, but a guy like him might have trouble taking people down in the open mat, more because they weren't like kind of a more powerful type of wrestler, but the takedowns with the technique, I mean, it's mostly, you still got to get your hands on the guy. So you got to learn that, you got to learn to be able to strike in or transition off of his strikes, So that's really the main thing, I think, is just learning how to put that together with your boxing,
All right. Let's talk about this, because I did the preview with Ray, and I want to talk to you about this as well. Let's talk about this tournament, because for someone that's not in the tournament, you do have, I mean, it's sort of relevant to you, because the person that wins it could be the next champion. So you fought in one-night tournaments before too, in Dream.
Yeah.
So I asked Ray this, and I'll ask you this: did you prepare differently for a one-night tournament, or did you just say, "I take the fights as they come"? And
oh man, you just know you got to be in great shape for a tournament. So we did a couple things where we would obviously we do a hard sparring session where guys are rotating in on you every 2.5 minutes or whatever, and then you take an hour off and then come back and do it again, just to kind of simulate that going hard and then breaking and then going hard again. So the tournament is a grind, man, and not necessarily the best guy in the tournament will win the tournament, so it's a great opportunity for maybe a guy that was further down the ladder to just come out and shine. And it can favor a grappling style, especially a wrestler that can grapple from top,
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, man. But I'll have an eye on that for sure.
I was talking to Ray about it, and we talked about the fact that the thing that's interesting about this tournament is that a couple guys have had layoffs and they're fighting because they have history with Justin Gaethje. So, like they haven't fought. The last guy they fought was Justin Gaethje, which was a couple of years ago or a year ago. And the thing that I was talking to Ray about is, if, let's say you take the top 8 lightweights in World Series of Fighting, a guy like yourself. If you lose in that tournament, you're still only 2 fights away from the belt. These guys are not 2 fights away from the belt. If they lose this tournament, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, they might. It's going to take a while for them to beat, because there's you, Karos, and Ozzy Dagulagov, and there's just side Cosmo Alexandria. Like, there's a lot of like this. This is the premier division of the World Series of Fighting. Yeah. So you lose this, you're falling pretty far. You're 17th guy in the World Series of Fighting potentially. So it's interesting. Now, as far as approaches go with tournaments, do you think? I mean, did you go in there, like I said, to fight your fight, or was it like I gotta clean these guys out early, or just I gotta save myself a little bit? Because Ray was sort of saying that you gotta kind of fight smart.
Well, yeah, you always get in there, thinking that you need to fight smart and stuff. And when I did it, I think we had one fight, and then like 3 months later, we had the night with two fights in a row. So, you always want to like get in there and fight smart, but at the end of the day, your instincts are going to take over, and if something happens and you're trying to finish, you're going to blow it out and try to finish. So. Actually, Ray has much more tournament experience than I do. It's a kickboxing thing, I think. So, I've only fought in the one tournament, and it was a tough night, man. I was in shape, but it was definitely a tough night.
So do you have a history with these guys? Do you know like anybody, like you've been in there with anybody before, or do you have relationships?
I don't have any fighting with any of these guys, but I know Palomino fairly well, and that's really about it, honestly.
Yeah. Do you have a pick?
Between the tournament?
Yeah.
Man, no. I'd say.
Let's go with Palomino since you know
Luis.
him.
Yeah. Dude, Luis is a cool guy, man. And
he is a cool guy. I met him.
I think he's a tough guy, a tough matchup for anybody in that tournament. So.
And I mean, what I was telling somebody is that you're dealing with a guy who just gave Justin Gaethje everything he could handle, and whatever you want to say about how long the fights went, he rocked him in both fights.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't like Justin Gaethje just cruised, cleaned out Luis Palomino, and it's bring on the next guy. Luis was in there trading with him and dropped him.
He's got power for this weight class, man. He's tough.